Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining Wake Up Wednesday. Today, we're going to be going over what audited financials are and versus reviewed financials. So, some nonprofits have to have an audit. If you don't know, when you're applying for grants, they might say on the grant paperwork or the grant maker paperwork that you require an audit. Now, some for-profits require audits as well. If you're manufacturing and some other industries, sometimes you need to have an audit. So this can be for-profit or nonprofit, mainly for nonprofits if you are looking for grants. So I'm actually going to start sharing my screen here. Here's a good definition of one. Oops, let me put that back up there. Sorry, guys. One moment. All right. Gonna make it a little bit bigger for you. So, Community Foundation for Southeast Michigan has a great uh, definition or breakdown of what an audit is versus a review. So, a comparison. If you are getting an audit, the auditor obtains a high but not absolute level of assurance about whether the financial statements are free of material misstatement. So basically, they're basically telling the person that is requiring an audit, generally the grant maker, that you know what, you did not lie. You spent the money on what you said you spent it on, and so they can kind of trust. They're not asking you if you spent the money on that. They're asking the auditor, did they spend the money on what they said they did? And they test it and sign off on, yes, the financial statements are free of material misstatement. Now, if you were doing a review, the accountant obtains limited assurance that no material modification should be made to the financial statements. So basically, it's a lesser. It's a review actually costs a little bit less than an audit does. Well, not a little bit less. You can get like a compilation. So most people are familiar with a compilation. You tell your accountant, hey, this is what I made at my business. You send them some 1099s or W-2, whatever your W-2s, and then basically you get a compilation. They're not saying anything is true. They're just saying they compiled the information that they gave you. A review, they go a little bit more in depth. They kind of ask you more probing questions. And audit, they actually do a test. So if you are an audit having an audit, and the CPA obtains an understanding of internal controls over the financial statement. So that in an audit, yes, they do. In a review, they don't. They're kind of, the CPA will got kind of go into how you report and say they're using generally accepted accounting principles. And then in an audit, but a review, they don't. What about getting a test for your effectiveness of your internal controls? Well, frequently, but not always, in an audit, they do a test. The nature of the extent or internal control testing depends on the auditor's judgment and conclusions pertaining to the risk assessment. So sometimes you will get the CPA will test the effectiveness of your internal controls, to make sure that maybe you got a lot of cash going in and out. How do you control whether it's the right amount? That would go in there. In a review, they don't do that. All right. Now, in an audit, a CPA verifies certain balances and transaction with a third party. They don't actually trust what you're going to say. They're going to verify it. So if you said you spent this money, let's say you're in a nonprofit and you took cash out of your nonprofit business account to pay for, stuff for a party or something, and you don't have a receipt, you might fail that audit. But if you have like proof of where it was spent, they will kind of go through some of your transactions. If you have proof of where it was spent, they're going to verify that with a third party. And that's in an audit. In a review, they don't. In an audit, a CPA performs procedures to obtain reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free of material misstatements, whether caused by fraud or error. They do verify that. In a review, they don't. Financial statements are the responsibility of management. In a review, uh, um, they are kind of going back and checking that both sides, even on the review and an audit, that the management of the company are responsible for the financial statements. Now, in an audit, if you have financial statements are prepared by and are responsibility of the management, yes, but the CPA may assist in drafting in both of these. So now, CPA guarantees that financial statements are accurate or free of fraud. They don't. Like if you committed fraud and they didn't find it, they don't verify that they're free of fraud in both of them. CPA evaluates the entity's policy, decision, and use of resources. No, they're just kind of, going in and say, so if you could have a better use for your funds, they're not going to say, okay, you should use your funds for this. They're just saying you use your funds for what you said you were using your funds for. CPA reports material weakness and internal control over financial reporting noted during the engagement to manage or audit committee. Yes, in an audit they do. In a financial review, it's not required, though may be done if matters come to the CPA's attention. CPA acts as a whistleblower internally and reports identify fraud to management or audit committee. In an audit, they do that. And also inside a review, unless clearly inconsequential. So they will report, to management. CPA acts and costs. So basically, the cost of an audit or review will vary depending on many factors. So I like this little, sheet here from Community Foundation for Southeast Michigan, because they're saying that you actually uh, when you're applying for a grant for them, they're asking for audited financials, and they will want you to actually have the audited financials as opposed to a review. And so they give you a clear definition of what is an audit versus a review if you are applying for a grant from them. If you like this video or you want more of the same inside one place, you can join my nonprofit startup kit Facebook group, and you will be able to just get this video and many others like it in one spot. All right, guys, thank you for joining me this morning.